video talks through the gradient. So the gradient is how steep a line is. Okay, so this gradient, that line, sorry, might have a gradient of 1. This is just a rough sketch, so that might have a gradient of 1. Okay, but this line is steeper, so it would have a higher gradient than 1. So that gradient might be 3. Okay, and this line is even steeper, so that might have a gradient of 5. Okay, and again going the other way, sorry it's gone a bit blurry, so again going the other way, this line, okay, is less steep than this one, so it's going to have a gradient less than 1, so that might have a gradient of 1/2. Okay, so kind of the higher this number, the steeper the line. But what if the line goes this way? That is a gradient of -1 roughly, because as we go to the right, this line's going up, so it's positive. As we go to the right, this line's going down, so it's negative. So that gradient is -1. This line is steeper, so that would be a gradient of -3. And even steeper could be a gradient of -5, and less steep would be a gradient of -1/2. Okay, so as we go to the right, if we go up, we know our gradient has to be positive, and as we go to the right, if our line goes down, then we know our gradient is going to be negative. Okay, so a way we can work out gradient, so gradient is equal to the change in the y direction, which means kind of going up or down, divided by, so remember that line means divided by, the change in x, which means going that way. Okay, so I'm going to talk you through a couple of examples, but I would write this down. You don't need to put the arrows, but it just kind of helps you remember. The reason this has got kind of 2 different directions is because as we go to the right, we might go up, or as we go to the right, we might go down. But with the x, we kind of always measure how long we go right. Okay, so it's the change in y over the change in x, and some people might say rise, which means up or down, over run, which means along to the right. Okay, so I've got a couple of lines here, and we need to find the gradient. Okay, so step 1 is I'm going to pick 2 points on this line. Okay, you might want to kind of write out. So step 1, pick 2 points, and they must be in the corner. So you'll see what I mean by in the corner. So it means in the corner of one of the squares. So that's not quite in the corner, so I'm not going to pick that one. That's not in the corner. So I'm going to pick this one, because we can see that that's in the corner. And I'm going to pick this one, because we can see that's in the corner of a square. Okay, so remember, we want the change in up or down divided by the change in x going across to the right. So I'm going to draw in a little triangle, okay, in between those points. So remember, I go along to the right, so always go along to the right first, and then up or down. So along to the right first, and then up or down. So step 2 is make a triangle. So go along to the right first, then up or down. Okay, so I've made my triangle. So now we can see that this, I need the change in the y, so how much it goes up or down. So how many squares does it go up or down? So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I'm going to write underneath my gradient equals. So it says change in y, so how much it goes up or down. Well, it goes up 3 divided by how many it goes along. So 1, 2. We've gone along 2, so I'm dividing by 2. Okay, so my gradient is 3 over 2, and you can just leave it as 3 over 2. Or if you kind of wanted, if a question needed you to change it, you could change that to 1.5 as a decimal. Okay, so again, I'm going to do the same over here, find the gradient of the line below. So I'm going to pick 2 points, so I can see that this one goes through the corner of the squares, and I can see that this one right at the top goes through the corners of the squares. Okay, so my step 1 was pick 2 points. Okay, my step 2 is make a triangle. I go along to the right first. So I go along to the right first, and then I go up or down. Okay, so this time, so I've gone along and then I've gone down. So after doing my step 2, step 3 is just work out the gradient. Okay, so remember we've got change in y, so how much it goes up or down. This time it's going down. Okay, so you count how many squares it's going down. It's going down 1, 2, 3. So this time it's a negative 3 because we've gone down. Okay, so it's negative 3 over, and then how many it goes along? 1, 2, 3, 4. So over 4. So my gradient is negative 3 over 4. And you can just leave it like that. If the question needs it as a decimal, then it's negative 0.75. Okay. Next one. And the last one is on a set of axes. Okay, so you've got to find the gradient of the line below. So same principle, same steps. Pick 2 points. Remember, they're in the corner of the squares. So pick 2 points. So that one goes through the corner of a square, and so does this one. So I'm going to pick those 2 points. Okay. Step 2 is make a triangle. I go along to the right first, then up or down. So along to the right first. So along to the right first, and then up or down. This time I'm going up. Okay. So my gradient is, I pick change in y, so how much it goes up or down. Remember, if it goes up, then it's positive. If it goes down, then it's negative. So I go along and then up, so it's going to be positive, and it goes up 1, 2 squares, divided by how many did I go along? 1. Only went along 1 square, so it's divided by 1. Well, 2 divided by 1 is just 2. So my gradient of that line is 2. Okay, so just notice that this line is steeper, it's got a gradient of 2, than this line of 1.5. So we can notice kind of what we mean by gradient. So some of the questions are like this, where you haven't got a set of axes, and some of them are like this, where you have got a set of axes. But it's the same principle, 2 points, draw in your triangle, go along to the right first, then up or down. If you have to go down, then we know it's going to be a negative.